GTA 6 publisher thinks gamers should pay more for longer games, writes Dexerto. They add, Take-Two Interactive CEO Strauss Zelnick has stated that he believes video games should be priced differently depending on the, quote, expected entertainment usage, aka the length of time it takes for players to complete them. Oh, I'm good then. I generally don't complete games. So, what is this dude going to say about that? Yeah, I never beat that game. What's good? But I still got 200 hours in it. Guess I'll play for free. Real talk, though, I've said this before, and some people agreed with me, and if you don't, that's fine. You know, as long as we're getting entertainment out of our games, that's the main thing. But yeah, I'm the sort of dude who doesn't care for achievements. I won't go for achievements or anything like that. And I even don't beat games a lot of the time. I don't know, man. I just get kind of sad when a game's done. So sometimes I'll get to like the end game, like super late end game, and then I'll just like play something else. I know it's kind of weird, but yeah, I guess according to this dude, though, I might be in the clear. We're joking around. I'm making a joke. Obviously, these corpos would find some way to sucker me in too. We all know that. Anyways, let's get back to it. When it comes to video games, we left off here. The length of an experience can vary anywhere between 10 hours of content to a few hundred. Open world games, such as Baldur's Gate 3, offer up hours upon hours of replayability, while other, more streamlined experiences opt for a concise approach instead. As a result, the topic of games being sold at full price despite these variations in length has been a hot topic of conversation in recent years throughout the industry. Chiming in, Take-Two Interactive CEO Strauss Zelnick has added his thoughts to the mix, arguing that games should be priced on a per-hour basis. You know, when I was in middle school, I had a teacher who said something to the class which stuck with me to this day. Like, I'm still kind of surprised that she actually said this. But she said to the students, if you don't open your mouth, you won't sound stupid. It says to middle school kids. And perhaps that should apply to this guy, though. So we left off here. He thinks games should be priced on a per-hour basis. Continuing. During the earnings call for Take-Two Interactive's Quarter 2 2024 period, Zelnick explained why B? Dexerto, I think it should be he. Why he believes video games should be priced in relation to how much time gamers will need to dedicate to them. Oh, here's a full quote here, I guess. Let's see this one. In terms of pricing for any entertainment property, basically the algorithm is the value of the expected entertainment usage, which is to say that the per hour value times the number of expected hours plus the terminal value that's perceived by the customer in ownership if the title is actually owned, not say rented or subscribed to. And you'll see that bears out in every kind of entertainment vehicle. By that standard, our frontline prices are still very, very low. These guys are so greedy. They're charging like $70 for AAA games now. This is still they're like, it's very, very low. Oh my gosh, man. I can't believe the state of the world. What is going on with this world? The greed, man. Now, on some level, this guy's making an argument that gamers have actually made in the past to justify purchasing new games. So that's a bit unfortunate. And you probably know what I'm talking about, right? Like the classic, well, if a movie ticket costs me $20 or whatever, I'm just kind of making the numbers up right now. Movie ticket costs me $20 for 2 hours of entertainment, or I could buy a new game for like $40 and get like 50 hours of entertainment out of it. Well, that seems like a pretty good purchase. So he's kind of flipping that logic back onto us. So yeah, I guess there's that. But again, when you factor in all the context with the gaming industry being as big as it is now, making as much money as it is now, the fact that they're already doing super well, it's not like they're struggling. I mean, there might be some people in the gaming industry struggling at the lower end, but that's not because of the amount of money the gaming industry is making. That comes down to the corporatism and, you know, how that all works. So I don't really see how this is something that should be rolled out on gamers, like making us spend even more money on your games, especially when a lot of these games are getting worse too, by the way. Like, I'm specifically talking about AAA games. A lot of the AAA games over the past number of years have, as mentioned, been getting worse and like been dropping the ball in various ways. And they're already trying to charge us more. Then you have this guy talking about charging us even more. It's just not a great look, I don't think. I also don't think amount of hours necessarily correlates to amount of entertainment, aka let's just say fun. For example, I've got a little over 100 hours in Starfield. A lot of that is from load screens. I say that in half jest. But yeah, I've got like 100 hours in Starfield. And those 100 hours in Starfield were not nearly as fun as the 40 or so hours I have in Armored Core 6. So what we really need is we need these gaming companies to make some sort of like science thing where we can connect electrodes to our brain. And when we're gaming, we can see how much fun we're having and it can track that. And then it can charge us per fun had. No, I'm kidding. Can we just keep things simple? Can we just keep $60 for like a AAA game? And can your games not suck? Can they actually be like good? Is that asking too much? It is. Apparently, it's asking way too much, apparently. And let me clarify. I'm not saying that all AAA games are bad. However, lately, far too many of them have been dropping the ball, especially when they're trying to charge us more. And to be fair to Zelnick, going back to his quote one more time, he did sort of talk about the fun factor that I mentioned as well, where he said, which is to say that the per hour value times the number of expected hours. So per hour value, I'm assuming that would mean how much fun you're having per hour, right? Per hour value, fun per hour, times the number of expected hours. Thing is, that's something that the individual will have to decide on, how much fun they had per hour, how much fun they had with the game total. They're not going to factor that. Like, the gaming company is not going to do a survey after, hey, how much fun did you have with this? How much money do you think you should spend on this game? No, that's not going to happen. You imagine you get the game for free, and then once you complete it, you're supposed to like email the gaming company and be like, yeah, I'll give you like $20 for this game. It was pretty fun. you know. Of course, they're gonna skew this in their favor as much as they possibly can. I don't trust these corpos. Do you? Well, apparently on Reddit, some people actually do, and they're defending this guy. For example, this post reading, "People will see only the headline and rage," but his elaboration isn't too bad. He's overall saying that for the standard price of a game that offers many, many hours of entertainment, that games at the current price point are actually very consumer friendly, and that players ultimately get a lot of value out of certain games because of this. When it comes to a game where you spend $60 to $70 and can get like 100, 200, 300 plus hours, etc. of entertainment / joy out of the game, I think his point is somewhat valid. Headline makes his point sound a lot worse than it actually is. No, the whole article makes his point sound pretty bad. You know, he did say that it's very, very, very low pricing. And again, the full context of all this is that GTA 6, a AAA game, they're going to try and charge a bunch of money for. There are already articles suggesting that they're going to try and charge over $100 for the game. And then this guy's coming out saying all this too, and you can see where things are adding up. I'm actually surprised. Then again, we're talking about Reddit. I was going to say I'm surprised that anyone's defending this, but we're talking about this Redditor here. Now, to be fair, not all Redditors are defending this, but we're not going to move to that just yet. So you can see someone responded to that person saying, so who's going to decide how much entertainment one gets out of a game? And that person then says, you, the consumer, which is part of his entire point. But as I said, that doesn't even make sense per se, because you're not going to know how much fun you're going to have with the game until you already have the game and you've already played the game a bit, in which case you've already bought the game. It's the whole survey thing I mentioned earlier, like as a joke. Like, they're not going to give you the game for free and then you decide how much you pay for it based off how much fun you had. No, they're going to try and, like I said, skew this in their favor as much as they possibly can. Plus, there are some gamers who like things like grand strategy games, like Paradox games. And there are some gamers who have, let's say, Hoi 4 with no DLC, no mods, just base Hoi 4, and they still have thousands of hours in base Hoi 4. So to that person, based on the metric that these people are suggesting, this Redditor and that gaming industry professional, of fun per hour, well, how much money should that person then buy GTA 6 for if they have thousands of hours in base level Hoi 4 and that costs them $40? Well, based on their logic then, and let's just assume they have the same amount of fun per hour, but let's say that dude gets 100 hours out of GTA 6, or let's even say 200 to 300 hours out of it. Well, he should still then only pay like $5 for GTA 6. But again, you know for a fact that these professionals are never going to let you get a deal like that, right? No, they're going to, again, try and frame it as bad for you as possible. In which case, the same example, they'll say like, okay, GTA 6, $100, maybe $120 for that. And Hoi 4, instead of $40, oh, that should have cost you like $400. So I don't think this is a good road to go down. I'm surprised people are defending it. And then, of course, sorry to be a broken record, but what I just said in the last minute or so is, of course, not even my full take on this. Also got to factor in what I said about how games are already getting more and more expensive, and yet a lot of AAA games are dropping the ball. Like, everything I said in this video is my full take, not just the last minute, of course, just to clarify. And I'll raise a new point now, too. On top of all that, things for all of us, like your everyday person, it's getting rougher on us. Everything across the board, not just games, is getting more and more expensive. It's just getting harder to live out there. And so I'm just surprised that there are actually any people defending this argument of raising prices on games significantly. And I say significantly because, again, to that dude's quote, he said that prices right now are very, very low, hinting that not just would he want to raise prices a little bit or even a medium amount of it. Sounds like he wants to raise prices a lot. Back to Reddit, I mentioned some people were criticizing that guy's take. Not everyone was defending it. In particular, you have a post here on R Gaming titled, GTA 6 publisher believes games should be priced per hour. And this got removed by the moderators. But it did include people saying, I got a bad feeling about this. GTA 6 is going to cost $70 and require a GTA Plus subscription, isn't it? What we need is even longer, boring, repetitive games. Here's someone pointing out, similar to what I said earlier in the video, quoting the quote from the article and saying that's too hard to quantify, as the hours of engagement is going to be very subjective from person to person. If I'm getting bored with the game after 3 hours, would I get a cheaper price? Of course not. As you can see, most of the top comments in this post are very critical of the take, and yet it got removed by the mods. Yet the post on our games that has the top comment that's supporting the take has not been removed. Now, maybe there's nothing weird going on here, maybe it's just coincidence. Still a bit odd, especially when you see that they tagged it misleading, see comments, and then at the very top says, if this got removed from our gaming for being a grossly misleading headline, then this should probably get removed from here too. And then the way they just slap a misleading tag and call it a day, like get rid of the misleading post. But is it really misleading at all? Once again, the headline simply says GTA 6 publisher believes games should be priced per hour. And of course, that's not his full take. He proposed an equation for that, but you can't fit the entire equation in the title, in the headline. And this condensation of that premise seems like a pretty decent one. I would say even if you think it's a bad headline or misleading, it's not grossly misleading. And the Redditors are ironically being misleading about the headline. Good news is, despite that being the case, there are some Redditors in this post criticizing the take, disagreeing with it. For example, this one, which only got 4 upvotes, compare that to the one that's agreeing with the take that gets 60. But things do get better when you see a response from Mr. Nice Guy 26, who gets 72 upvotes, criticizing that take, and that take being the one from I Am Action Bear here, this Redditor, but also disagreeing with the take from Zelnick, the dude in the article, as well. The I Am Action Bear person trying to give a rebuttal and only getting 3 upvotes, where Mr. Nice Guy 26 gets 21. In other words, the thread's actually not that bad when you actually scroll through it. Bit weird with what's going on at the top, but glad to see that there's some reasonable discourse going on in the actual responses when you, like I said, scroll a bit. So I'll leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, let me know what you think about this stuff, and I'll see you in the comments.